Go for it. Go for it.
Hello and welcome to the SpiderNerd.com podcast. I'm your host, SpiderNerd, and joining me today for our very first show, we're trying this little podcast thing here. Joining me today for our very first show is Mr. Ed Jones.
How's it going, everybody? Good to be here.
Going pretty good, sir. How's it going with you?
Pretty damn good. I chugged some Coke and some beer, so I'm prepped for this. I'm prepped for some rage.
Oh gosh, we've got a drunk guy on the line.
No, I'm not that drunk, seriously. I watched The Amazing Spider-Man again earlier today, so I had to jot down some notes, so you'll forgive me if I look at that.
Well, that's okay. The more prepared you are, the better. We love people being prepared on this show.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I did some podcasts a while back, and I blanked for... It must have been 10 minutes. I think I nodded off. And I forgot I was recording, so I had to cancel that immediately, and I couldn't edit the sound out, so it was just a 10-minute blank. It was really stupid.
That actually sounds really funny. I can just imagine the guy who's up listening to this at 3 a.m. while he's like trying to jot down his, trying to do his homework or whatever for college, and he's just saying, "Wait a minute, wasn't I listening to something?" And then he realizes, "Oh yes, I still am."
There must be a second part. Closed it. Fuck! God damn it.
All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Ed?
Not much to tell, really. I'm born in Britain. You can tell by my accent. It might change, but that's probably my beer kicking in. I've been reviewing films for a while now. Maybe 4 years, I think. I reviewed. I watched Transformers 2 for the first time, and I said, "What the fuck was that?"
Oh
and
gosh.
Yeah, I know it was a bad thing to start on, but also a good thing in a way. It got me reviewing a lot, and I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, Transformers 2. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can say that shit again. Fuck. Oh god, there's gonna be a fourth one, man. Like,
why is there gonna be a fourth one?
I don't know. Like, we could do a whole podcast on that one day. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with that shit.
Yeah, but this is a Spider-Man podcast, not a Transformers podcast.
That's how we do it. We do Spider-Man here.
Spider-Man's way better than any crap Michael Bay likes to throw at us.
You can say that again. I mean, I saw Pain and Gain yesterday. It actually wasn't that bad. I'm gonna say that. Believe it or not, it wasn't that bad.
I haven't seen Pain and Gain yet, but I read your little Facebook post on it, and I saw that you actually liked it, and I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I sat there flat. I was like, "Am I in the wrong film? Like, this is not like it was." It was Michael Bay, but it was like the studio just said, "You can be yourself today." Like, you may have noticed before, like with Transformers, he's really trying to push like, the 18 rating or the R rating in America. Like, he's just trying to push that, but he can't. Here, he can just do what he wants, and what he wants is just shit. And they allowed him to do some junky shit, and I think he's at his best when he's in full junk mode. That's probably why Bad Boys 2 is his best film so far. It's just crap, pure crap, and that's why it works. It's just crap. You know what I mean? I
do know what you mean. So,
yeah.
A little bit about myself. I'm a Spider-Man reviewer. I own my own Spider-Man website, www.spidernerd.com, or you can take out the 3 W's. It doesn't really matter.
The hint's in the title. That's all you need to know.
Yes, the hint is in the title. That's all. That's it. And and so what do we do there? Basically, if you found this podcast, I'm pretty sure you know what we do here. But I'm just gonna say this just because I feel like it. We pretty much do Spider-Man news and reviews of everything and anything Spider-Man. So that's pretty much it for the website. And what about my personal life? I'm in high school, and I do this kind of stuff because I have no life.
That's the reason I do it too. I have no fucking life.
Seriously. I have no girlfriend, no friends, and no life. So
you read comics, man. You're fucking proud of yourself. That's all you need to know. We're doing a podcast. We're gonna do a podcast.
Yes. And you know what? The only thing I do in my life outside of this is I'm in a marching band and I'm the field commander. So.
You admitted it. That's the first step.
There we go. There we go. Okay. So I guess we'll start in with our little discussion here. Today we're going to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man movie.
God damn.
Yeah, let's just to give for the audio listeners, Ed and I have been going back and forth about this over Facebook all week.
Yeah, nonstop.
And we've just been he and I are very excited for this because as it's going to be established, we have very opposing opinions on this film.
Mm.
And so, really, I'm excited for this, aren't you?
Yeah, totally. I've never been able to unload my shit on somebody in a while. No offense, but this is gonna get ugly.
This is probably gonna get really ugly. I mean, just.
Yeah. So forgive me if I start screaming, but I make no promises when I review things. It's my life, so I have to get serious.
Yes, I get serious as well. So I get very impassioned. We're both very passionate about this character in this film. So
yeah, we are.
So I guess we'll just start with our general opinions on it, and then we will kind of go a little bit more in depth. So Ed, why don't you go first?
Okay. So in terms of just full disclosure, I'll go over very quickly. First Spider-Man, I really liked. I thought it like kind of blended the '60s comics with like modern implications. So it was kind of a film for everyone, if you know what I mean. Like my dad likes Spider-Man from the comics. He collected those things like they were sacrament, and so yeah, I thought it worked for everybody. Spider-Man 2, I really loved. Spider-Man 3, I thought was good. Flawed, yeah, but I think it's not as bad as many people say. So yeah, Amazing Spider-Man getting to the point I think is fucking terrible. Like, just the whole project just sucks. Like from the reason it's made, the reason how it's made, like how they did it, and everything about it just sucked for me. That's my opinion, and we will divulge into that in a minute. What about you?
Well, in terms of the old Raimi films, like you said, I was a huge fan of the original Spider-Man films. I grew up with them, so
me too. Yeah.
So they are. Tobey Maguire is kind of when I think of Spider-Man, I think of Tobey Maguire. It's just.
It's
just kind of how I am. It's him and Christopher Daniel Barnes' '90s animated Spider-Man that I think of.
Oh yeah, I used to watch that as well. Yeah.
I love that series, and
Oh yeah, I totally did. I worship that show. I watched it all the time, man. Seriously, I had all the tapes and everything.
I have a bootleg of the entire series on DVD, and I love it.
Oh shit! I wish I could have that on DVD.
Yeah, and I got it for $20 too. It was a steal.
Seriously, that's like how many episodes is that? It's like 100 of them, isn't it?
I am not kidding you. 65 episodes, $20. Like that's not even a buck. That's not even a buck an episode. It's like iTunes. Take note.
I know. That's like one. Like, what was it? And I think it's America. It's like $1.50, isn't it, for like one episode or something?
It's like $1.99, yeah, for one episode.
That's fucking tedious.
It's a ripoff.
$20. That's a steal, man. You should be proud of that.
I am totally proud of that. I was just surfing the web one day and I found that and I was like, oh yes.
Yes. Fuck you, education.
Hey, I'm in college. I love education.
Okay, yeah. I'm starting college in a few days, so I'm 19 and starting college. I've been a bum for a while, so
yeah,
it's what movies do to you, but I'm proud of it. So
yes, for anyone who just heard what I said, I'm starting college while in high school. I'm doing a special program for that, so so I'm getting college credit and high school credit at the same time. So I'm saving like what, $40,000.
Oh, nice.
It's the only logical way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so getting back on track here, I love the first Spider-Man film. I thought it was a great film. I thought it had a lot of good parts to it.
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man 2, what to say about Spider-Man 2? It was just freaking awesome.
It was, yeah. I loved it.
I love Spider-Man 2 from beginning to end.
Yeah. It's just one of those films I could watch, like, twice in a row. Like, I wouldn't give a shit. That rarely happens to me. I'm a lot more unforgiving with films, but, like, seriously, I could watch Spider-Man 2 again and again in a day.
I love that film. And Spider-Man 3, I'm with you. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I felt, when I was a kid, I just kind of accepted it, but as I've grown up, I do see the major flaws with it, and I can recognize the problems.
Yeah.
So I I kind of understand why people don't like it, but I personally do like it. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great. I mean, I thought it had a lot of flaws. Now, in terms of The Amazing Spider-Man, oh boy, this is going to be good. Okay.
Here we go.
I loved The Amazing Spider-Man. I thought
All
I thought it was amazing, as the title said it would be, and I thought pretty much everything was done correctly. Pretty much everything in that freaking movie was awesome. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. So, why don't you start us off with our first point? What do you want to talk about with this movie?
Okay. In order to talk about this, I guess I have to go back a little bit to 2010. So 2 years before the film was made. What we need to think about is like, I think it was around Spider-Man when Spider-Man 3 finished. Like people said, it was good, not great. You know, it was fine. So people were like, when Spider-Man 4 is going to come out, okay. And so they were doing that, and that was in production hell. I think you might have read about it. I'm not sure. It was in hell for a while. Did you read that?
Yes, I did read that, and I remember, the whole May 6, 2011 deadline, and I was like, how are they going to meet this deadline when at the beginning of 2010 they hadn't even started filming yet?
Yeah, exactly. It's like they're not going to do this, or they're either going to get another year to do it, or it's going to fail. And surprise, it failed. And I wasn't really surprised, to be honest. I think it wasn't really going to work very well. I mean, like they had to get a lot of things to do. And I think Raimi was doing other projects at the same time, so I think he was doing like Evil Dead or something. I don't know.
We know he just did that Wizard of Oz movie with James Franco in it.
Oh yeah, he did that as well. And he was doing the Evil Dead remake, I think.
Did he do that remake? I don't know.
I think he produced it with Bruce Campbell, but other than that, I know nothing of it. I don't know if he wrote it or anything.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Evil Dead, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, so getting back on track. So basically, where I'm coming from is it was cancelled in 2010, and this is where it's going to get. This is where I'm going to start ranting a little bit. It really just hit me when they announced in 2010 they're going to reboot Spider-Man. I said, wait a minute, didn't you just cancel it like Spider-Man 4 a few months ago? I looked it up and I said they did. They cancelled it like maybe 5 months ago. Now they're talking about rebooting it. Why? Like, you don't need to. I mean, it made quite a bit of money, and people love Spider-Man because of those films. It introduced a lot of new fans, and you can't see a kid like who's like 5 years old today wearing a Spider-Man costume. Seriously, like, I mean, those films did a lot for people, and I mean that. Even for me, I think it did a lot for me.
I grew up on those films, and to be quite honest, Spider-Man 2 is what introduced me into Spider-Man. I remember my friend who lived down the street from me brought over the Spider-Man 2 video game, and then I saw the first 2 movies, and I was hooked.
Oh, that game was awesome.
That game was freaking epic.
I still have it on my Xbox, man. Seriously, I still have it.
That game was awesome.
It totally was. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so it was 2010. They're going to reboot Spider-Man. Not even half a year after the 4th one was cancelled, and this is when I start to realize something. Like, what possible reason does Sony have to reboot Spider-Man right now? Like, why not in a few years? And that's when I think it was around 2009 when Spider-Man 4 was in hell, like development in hell. Like there were 2 films that were out, or you could say 3 really. There was The Dark Knight, which everyone loved. It changed a lot. There was Iron Man and The Incredible Hulk. Now, of course, everyone wants to be Batman nowadays. We know that. It's basically common law now. And the thing about Iron Man was that they introduced a lot. People like Iron Man. He's Marvel. Nobody really heard of him until then. And now everybody loves Iron Man. And there was that thing at the end of the first Iron Man film. Of course, we all know it, the Nick Fury thing. You know, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative. People are like, oh shit, is that real? Are they really going to do that? No, they can't be doing that. That's crazy. Then at the end of the Hulk, you see like Tony Stark walks in. He says, "We're putting a team together." Like everyone just like shat their pants in excitement. Seriously, like the Avengers, for God's sake. Seriously, who was not excited for that? I mean, really. Then and of course, around the same time, we're going to reboot Spider-Man. Sony are going to reboot Spider-Man with a 2012 release date. Now, there were also two movies around that time that were getting the same release date, Avengers and Dark Knight Rises. And they're going to release Spider-Man between those two films' release dates. And that's when it hit me. They're making this not because they care. Like, they don't give a shit. They just want to bring Spider-Man back for money. Like, it's just crystal to me. It's so clear. I was like, you're really going to do this, aren't you? You're really going to make another Spider-Man film, not because you care, because you just want some money. Honestly. I mean, and then they hired Mark Webb for the director, and that's kind of weird to me. I was like, I didn't really see any indication as to why he would want to direct Spider-Man. I mean, he did, I think it was one film, that 500 Days of Summer. Did you see that?
I did not see that, but I heard it was a very good movie.
Yeah, it was alright. It was one of those, I guess you could say you'd have to be the kind of audience for that, I can't really describe it, but it's one of those films that's basically for one audience, but it kind of works for everyone else, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, okay. And then everything just fell apart for me. Like, I stopped giving a shit about Spider-Man. Like I said, they're going to bring this movie around and it's either going to suck or it's going to be okay. Because I mean, you can do reboots like on the fly and bring out really good stuff. I mean, like for example, you had First Class, X-Men First Class, which was actually really, really good, like better than I thought. Because like, I mean, nobody cared about X-Men 3 or Origins of Wolverine, you know, and then like X-Men First Class comes out and it's a prequel, it's like a reboot, you know, and everyone loved it. It was really great. I was like, okay, maybe this won't be that bad.
Origins Wolverine sucked.
It did. It blew. And Last Stand kind of blew. I hated Last Stand.
I didn't hate Last Stand, but it could have been better.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. So then, I'm not going to repeat myself, but I just didn't give a shit. And then, of course, the film came out, the trailers, and the images, the still shots, everything. I just saw, like, everything. I said, okay, maybe I've seen a lot of things in these trailers and photos I'm going to hate, but I don't think it's going to suck. Opening day, I go see it, sit down, movie begins, it's over, I walk out, I punch a wall.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't care who was watching, I punched a wall. I was just that annoyed. People were looking at me like, oh shit, what's his problem? I'm like, I'll tell you what my fucking problem is. That was horrible. I worshipped Spider-Man at one point in my life, and now I'm seeing him desecrated. This is like what happened when they saw Jesus get crucified. This is just awful for me. It was painful. It was kind of hurtful and offensive. It was an offensive movie to me, and I really just... God damn it. I'm not going to punch anything. I told myself I wouldn't. So yeah, I really just despised it for everything that it was, everything that it stood for. And now I turn myself over to my list of problems with this. I have it categorized, so you'll forgive me if I rant on for a long time. Do you want to say something? I don't want to have this long hour of talk with just me. I feel like I'm stealing your show.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say is like you, I wasn't too enthusiastic about this reboot beforehand.
Yeah, it was too quick, really.
I mean, obviously the whole reason why they made it was to make some more money.
Yeah, like fill out a balance sheet, if you know what I mean. Like, like Marvel are doing the Avengers, and you know DC's bringing out Batman again. And what are we going to do? What is Sony going to do? We have a Marvel character. What are we going to do with him? You know, we could find an original project and make that instead, but that's not an option. We have to do Spider-Man again.
Yeah, I mean, the whole obvious reason they did Spider-Man again was to make some more money and to keep the rights to the character. Because because I don't know if you heard, but they recently just announced Amazing Spider-Man 3 and 4, and it couldn't be more obvious that they are doing this just to keep the rights.
Yeah, I mean, they planned 4 films in under 2 years.
Seriously. That is pretty amazing. And so, I mean, it's obvious that this was done just to make some more money.
Yeah, totally.
And I was kind of thinking that. And I remember when I saw the first trailer at 2011 Comic-Con. I wasn't there, but I saw it online.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember hating that trailer.
Mm.
I hated the first trailer. And then I saw the second trailer, and I still hated it. And then I saw the third trailer, and I still hated it. So I was going into this movie thinking, there is not going to be a single thing that I'm going to like about this.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh my gosh, they're going to ruin Spider-Man. And Spider-Man has been a character I've loved since I was 6. All right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was like, I love the Raimi movies. I love Tobey Maguire. And I thought Andrew Garfield was a horrible choice for Spider-Man. I thought, they were not going to get the tone right. I thought the suit looked like crap, and I thought all these horrible things about it. And then I saw the movie.
And you loved it.
And I walked out of that theater, and I walked into my mom's car, and she asked me, what did you think of it? And I was like, I don't know. I'll tell you when my foot's out of the back of my throat. And she's like, you loved it, didn't you? And I was like, yep. And so, really, the story here is that I shouldn't have judged a book by its cover. Because holy crap, this movie was... I freaking loved it. It's like everything I didn't like about the trailers and everything I didn't like about what I was hearing from everybody involved and everything I didn't like, about what I was seeing, none of it worked in the trailers or in the footage or in the pictures or anything. But somehow, some way, it worked on film. It worked. Somehow, I don't know how, but somehow it worked, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And so, I also have a list of things that I want to talk about with this movie. So,
okay.
Do you want to start with your list, or shall we start with mine?
I'll start with my list, but I want to just mention one thing. I know what you mean when you said you saw the trailer and you thought this looks like shit, but then you saw the film and you're like, that was fucking awesome. I really get that. I mean, I always go into something optimistic, even though it looked like crap. I mean, like for example, it was around early 2012 actually. The trailers for Chronicle. You saw those?
I did not.
All right, anyway, the trailer for Chronicle, and I was like, this looks like fucking shit. I mean, it just reeked of suckiness. It was superheroes, camcorders, and it kind of looked like Jackass. Like just some assholes with superpowers fucking around with a camcorder. It looks stupid. I went to see it. It was fucking awesome. I loved every single thing about it. I was like, this is like one of those perfect films I just can't find a flaw in. That never happens, ever, to me. I was like, wow, I am not going to judge anything ever again. Like, I'm not going to misjudge something. And then Project X came out, and my faith in found footage was destroyed again. So yeah, I know what you mean about the whole, not judging a trailer, because there's a lot of things that I thought looked shit, but ended up really good. And of course, I was like, maybe Spider-Man won't be that bad. And I'm not going to sound like a broken record, but my fists were they were really hurting for days. So, and that's where I'm going to lead into my list. I think we should start with the main thing about the film, the main character, the hero, Spider-Man. That's why we're here. How do I even start this? Like, I think I should start with the first still image I saw of him. It was in a EmpireOnline.com. It's a British film magazine, and there was just an image of him, like what he was going to look like. It was this. I saw the image and just said, wrong. Just wrong. Look at him. He just reeks of corporate filmmaking. Like what he's wearing, what his hair looks like, what he's doing. I saw this guy just wearing these. I don't know how to describe it. Sort of these really hip clothes. His hair was all messy and like sort of sticking up. He looked like Edward Cullen to me. He was wearing these really big hipster glasses. He was holding a skateboard, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that? Is that you know what I mean?" Like I was like, "That's not Peter Parker." When I see Tobey Maguire, like his combed hair, he's kind of a small guy. He's got glasses on. I was like, "That's fucking Peter Parker." Like that's the person I've always wanted to see play Peter Parker on screen. That's what he looks like to me. Like I think of Peter Parker, I think of Tobey Maguire. Like honestly, I just saw this new Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Was like wrong, just wrong to me. You know what I mean? And like I said, okay, I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to judge it. I'll watch the film and then judge it later. Like, his character in this film is so poorly written and just so... What's the word I'm looking for? Just so corporate. I'm going to say that word a lot, and forgive me if I do, but, like, it just looks so stupid. It's like, that's not how people interpret Peter Parker from the comics. That's how people interpret Peter Parker in real life. And that's not real life. That's like a stereotype of like some sort of hipster kid, you know what I mean? It's like that's not a person I'd see in a comic. And I mean, like, I was like, okay, archetypes aren't bad. They can work in superhero films. I mean, look at the shit where this came from. Like, it was just a nerd, you know what I mean? It's like archetypes in comics can work, and archetypes in comic films can work as well. Like, he's so written poorly. And like, I hated the way he kind of not Andrew Garfield's acting, because I don't hate Andrew Garfield. Like, they told him to act like this. Like, he's like the mumbling, he's looking around, like, just acting all nervous and shit. He's stuttering, and he's kind of like, he's dressed like some hip kid, not this, guy who lives with his aunt and uncle. And like, I had no idea what he was supposed to be. I mean, like, in some scenes he was like this mumbling depressive, and in other scenes he was kind of like this wise ass, and then he's like this skater, this loner, and I was like, who is he? Because this isn't Peter Parker. This is somebody else. This is like some sort of James Dean knockoff. And I had no idea what he was.
You see, I definitely disagree with you on that, because, I mean, I felt like they really interpreted Spider-Man the way he should have been in this film. Because, I mean, and let me tell you why. Yes, Tobey Maguire was very much a nerd. Yes, he was very much a nerd. And they managed to pull that off quite well. But I think Mark Webb said it best in an interview. I think nerd in the current world kind of means a different thing than it did in the 1960s.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
And so, I mean, really, a nerd today is really kind of, I'm just going to say this right now. At my school, I'm considered a nerd. And so, I'm kind of like the outsider, kind of isn't really accepted by the crowd, maybe doesn't want to be entirely, does his own thing. And so, I feel like that's what people these days are going to relate to.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like, but what I'm saying is, like, I don't mind that he looks like this. I really don't. Like, I probably said that I didn't, but this is what I'm getting across. I don't mind that he looks like this. It's the fact that the way he acts, it's different. He looks fine. I'm saying, like okay, if you that's how like an American teenager nerd looks these days. I don't know. I'm not American, so maybe it's different over there. I don't know. But I'm like, if that's how it is, then fine, do it like that. I don't give a crap. As long as you do it well. But he acts differently. Like in different scenes, he's mumbling. In some scenes, he's kind of a wise ass. I'm like, okay, I don't mind the way he looks, just the way he acts. That's what I really didn't like.
See, the way he acted was what sold the character for me, because Peter Parker, first and foremost, is supposed to be this awkward, kind of nerdy kind of teenager. And so the way he acted, it really made me feel like this is a guy who's really not comfortable in his skin.
Mm.
And so this guy, really, this guy doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know what he wants. He's looking for that. And kind of the way he acts is really just it's kind of what I know guys like him. I know guys like that. And that's why I kind of like it, because I know guys who are like that. Because they are the same type of guy that he is. They are the outsiders. They are the guys who aren't comfortable in their skin. And so what I'm trying to say here is, I felt that Peter Parker, in the way he acted, I felt he was pretty relatable.
Mm.
And so, I don't know. I'm trying.
I know what you mean. Like, I was getting across the, like, I don't think he works from a screenwriting standpoint. Like, in any way. And I think, and also I'm gonna like elaborate on this. He doesn't really work in the writing as well. Like the way they write him is that they write him with no direction. He doesn't change at all as a character. He doesn't evolve like Peter Parker does. And that's one of the main aspects of Peter Parker's character. He evolves. He becomes a different person. Like, he takes responsibility. And in this film, he just does not in any possible way change. I mean, for example, we know this is what I really liked about the first Spider-Man, is that I see this guy for a few minutes and I know who he is. He's like an ordinary nerd. He's kind of shy and awkward, you know. He's kind of but at least he's a different. He's got one character. He's a nerd. That's it. I get it. Like, and what I'm getting with Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker is that I want him to have just one thing that determines who he is. He's an outsider. Fine, that's totally great. But I don't like the fact that he changes from each scene. That's what kind of is weird to me. It's kind of schizophrenic. And I understand what they were going for, but it just didn't work for me. And this is more of a story fault than it is a character fault, but it just doesn't work for me.
See,
in any way.
I didn't think he changed so much as I mean, you were talking about how characters have to evolve and develop over the course of a film. And,
yeah.
And the way he did change, I mean, and I've seen this, I'm not saying that you haven't seen this movie plenty of times. I've seen this movie about 15, 20 times.
Mm.
And so, you know, I've actually, here's what I think. He changes in the film, but it's kind of, it is kind of, he slowly builds it up, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, he does change. What kind of happens is that he meets Gwen. You know, at the beginning of the film, he's very much, you know, that outsider we were talking about.
Yeah.
He meets Gwen. He gets in the fight with Flash. He gets his spider powers, and his spider powers kind of give him this confidence. They kind of, you know, he's like, oh my gosh, I can do shit that no one else can. I'm this special person now, and I can do all this insane crap. And so, really, what kind of happens is his confidence sort of builds up, and it sort of takes away the stuttering a bit. Because if you notice, as he goes throughout the film, he kind of stutters less and less and less as you go through the movie.
I haven't noticed that. I've watched it that many times.
He stutters less and less as you go through the movie, and by the end of the film, he's not really stuttering all that much. And so, what I kind of think happens is Peter Parker's character changes from someone who's not really comfortable in his skin to someone who still isn't exactly comfortable, but what happens is he gains a newfound confidence in himself. And what happens is that he's trying, you know, he's got these spider powers. He has Gwen as his girlfriend by the end of the movie. And so that's kind of his character development. That is, he's kind of filled out his shell, if you will.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like he basically he comes out of the shell. I know what you mean. That's a good way of putting it. What I'm getting at is like he just doesn't basically doesn't change completely. Like this is the thing I'm talking about. He's already fighting back against Flash. That's the thing I'm talking about. Like, he gives like wise ass remarks. I'm like, Peter wouldn't do that before he's Spider-Man. When he gets his powers, then he's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna fuck with this guy. You know, I'm gonna mess around. You know what I mean? And then but he's like, I saw him do that before. He's acting like Spider-Man before he gets his powers. I just don't feel like he learned anything. And they've sort of turned Spider-Man into Batman with the way they present the origin story this time, and they've turned Peter Parker into Edward Cullen. And that's probably a very, very offensive way of putting it, but that's what I saw. I'm like, because let's face it, what are the two most popular things in Hollywood at the time? Batman and Twilight. And definitely. Of course they were rushing to get this thing out, and they basically turned Peter Parker into Batman. And everyone, and I mean everyone, is trying to turn every superhero into Batman. Like Man of Steel, for instance. And I'm not going to dwell on that, but like that movie was trying to turn Superman into Batman, and that just doesn't work, like, in any way, because Superman is not Batman. They are two different people, very different people. Spider-Man and Batman, not the same. They just aren't the same. And they were trying to make Peter Parker, like, you know, kind of like this Edward Cullen type of character, and they were trying to make Spider-Man Batman. That's not how it works. It really doesn't work, and it's very confusing, like tonally. I'm trying to think. Wait, he's this teenager, but he's also Batman. Sorry, doesn't cut it for me. And I'm going to sound like a broken record again, but like this is what doesn't work for me is the main character. He doesn't change. He's Spider-Man before while he's fighting back. I'm like, did I miss something? Is this like a universe where he's already Spider-Man? And it was kind of like this is how I thought the film was going to play out. Did you ever play the Ultimate Spider-Man video game?
Yes, I did. I never beat it, but I played it.
Oh, right. You may have noticed like the film like kind of opens with like he's Spider-Man already, and they have like a very very quick flashback of how he got his powers. This is how he became Spider-Man, but you know the story. I was like, that's pretty cool. I thought that's how they were going to do it this time around. Seeing it was like a slick, kind of like the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. I thought it was going to be like that, but no, fuck that shit.
That would have been nice if they'd done that. That way we wouldn't have had to waste 50 minutes of the movie establishing the origin.
Yeah, that's the thing I really fucking hated about this film is the fact that they did the origin story again. I really probably would have been a lot less harsh on this if they didn't do the origin story. Just like they did the Amazing Spider-Man, like what they did with Ultimate Spider-Man video game. Like, just have Peter Parker just, like, swing around saying, this is how I became Spider-Man, but you know the story. He's like, yeah, I do know the story. You did it 10 years ago. That would have been really, really awesome. I really would have loved that if they just did it like that. But we have to do an origin story because Batman Begins, we have to do the origin story again. But then they copied Batman Begins, which pissed me off.
And really, what I'm trying to say here is, like, Spider-Man, you didn't need to do the origin story again because everyone and their grandma knows who Spider-Man is. It's like
totally.
If you've ever heard of Spider-Man, okay, he got bitten by a spider and his uncle got shot. That's it. Spider-Man's origin story is not that complex.
Yeah, everybody knows it. It's my main complaint with Man of Steel. It's like, you really don't need to tell us the origin story of Superman. Everyone in the world for the past 80 years knows the origin story of Superman. I think my 6-year-old cousin probably knows the story of Superman, and he's probably even read a Superman comic. He probably knows what it is.
Yeah, I'm not even a Superman fan, and I know, okay, his parents put him in a rocket and sent him to Earth because their planet blew up.
Exactly, everyone knows it. It's like Spider-Man 10 years ago.
He got bit by a spider and his uncle got shot.
Yeah, bit by a spider, and he gets his powers. He becomes more of a confident guy. He acts like a douche. His uncle gets shot, and he learns a deal of responsibility. Like, with great power comes great responsibility. One of the best lines in the history of fiction. Like, I cannot just express how much I love that line and how important it is.
Definitely.
It's just so important. And that's a note. And I want everyone who's listening to this to put that aside for a while, because I'm going to come back to it. And so I think we could wrap up on the main character. Like, for me, he really didn't work, and that's like the main problem with it. One of the main problems. The main character has to work. If he's like, if he's a cipher, then that would work. If he's not the main character, I mean, for example, like Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean, he's kind of, you don't really know what he is. You don't know what he's going to do. He's like a drunk. He's like a womanizer. He's kind of a random character, But the reason that kind of works is because he's not the main character. And like the reason like someone like Edward Cullen is able to more or less pull off what he does is because he's not the main character. Like, having a cipher as the main character will never work. And Peter Parker is someone who really shouldn't be a cipher in his own movie. I mean, really. That's something you really shouldn't screw up. And they did. For me, anyway.
See, I didn't feel that they screwed him up. I felt that they got him pretty right. But, obviously, we're going to have to agree to disagree here because we've been talking about this for a good 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, shit.
Yeah.
I can see the timer in the corner, so I'm like, oh, shit. So, yeah, I don't think it worked for me, but I totally understand what you're saying. I really do.
And I understand what you're saying, but, we'll just have to agree to disagree on the main character. I thought he was done very well. I thought he changed well, but, we'll just agree to disagree. So, moving on from Spider-Man.
Okay, all right. I think we should go to the polar opposite of this. The villain. Now, here's where I'm going to rant again. I'm sorry if I do it, but that's why we're here.
That is why we're here, so...
This is a part of the film I've actually... Like, people I know who loved the film actually didn't like this very much either. And I think... Maybe you do, I don't know. But the Lizard, to me, sucks. Like he really not as bad as Peter to me, but I still think he doesn't work at all. And of course, going back to the whole this movie is a cash in. Like in the first three Spider-Man films, like I think the number one villain people wanted to see the most was the Lizard. I mean, did you want to see the Lizard a lot? Like really?
Not as much as I wanted to see Venom. And once we saw Venom and how they screwed him up, I wasn't as fond of the idea of the Lizard as I was, because I mean, let me give you a little background here. The Lizard is my favorite Lee Ditko villain. And so when I heard that they were going to do the Lizard in a movie, I was very skeptical, because I was like, are you going to screw him up like they screwed up Venom? Because Venom is my favorite villain. Out of all the Spider-Man villains, even beating the Lizard, Venom is my favorite villain, and they screwed him up. And so I was very cautious as to what they would do with the Lizard. And
anyway, actually, just note, like elaborating on that, I actually don't think they screwed up Venom all as much, and you're probably gonna disagree with me completely on that, and I totally understand. But I think that's something we could do for another podcast. Actually, like Spider-Man 3, we actually could talk about that one day.
We could talk about Spider-Man 3 for hours.
We could, and I think we should one day, maybe. Actually, yeah, we definitely should. Okay, so I was like, okay, the Lizard. I can understand why you want to do the Lizard. Everyone wants to see the Lizard because Kurt Connors did all three Spider-Man films. He had one arm. We saw him like, that's Kurt Connors. Bring the fucking Lizard, man. Spider-Man 4, do the Lizard. Everyone kept asking for the Lizard. I was like, okay, you're gonna do the Lizard. Fine, that's totally fine, because he's Peter's teacher in the comics, and he's kind of a close personal friend. I was like, maybe they're gonna bring something personal to this. Oh my god, they screwed him up, man. Like everything the movie did, like its focus of the movie was doing the origin story again, having this, mystery around Peter's parents, which we'll talk about in a minute, and the romance. They screwed over the Lizard bad, like really bad. Like everything the movie was trying to market outweighed the rest of it. Yeah. And the Lizard and the villain is like the one is like another major thing you shouldn't screw up, because if you're going to do a good character, you need a good villain to counteract him. It's basic. It's movie making 101. Like you've got to have a good villain. And how do I even start this one? Like he just doesn't really work at all for me. Mainly because like he's not like a cipher like Peter is to me. He's kind of like he's nothing. I see him there with one arm. I'm like, okay, why has this guy got one arm? Okay, I already know, but I'm like, why does he have one arm? What reason does he have to want to grow this arm? And how is he going to turn into a giant lizard? And this is what really annoyed me. This movie never. I haven't seen it many times, but maybe they'd explain. I don't know. But he doesn't actually explain why he wants to grow his arm back, like at all. If I remember right, in the cartoons, I might be wrong, but in the cartoons, I think he wants to grow his arm back so he can play catch with his son and hug his family and all that crap, all that stuff. I'm like, okay, you could do that in this film, right? And they don't. I never understood why. Like, why does he want to grow his arm back? And I was like, it just didn't provide a reason for me. And this actually like screws over something later in the film where they kind of do the Jekyll and Hyde thing. You see him like in his lab in the sewers, like talking to himself. And I thought that was like, okay, that could be really good. But the thing is what I don't get is it doesn't work. Mainly because they never established that this guy is more or less saying the man part of this split personality, the man and the beast. Like, I want to see the man in this. I don't what stakes does he have? Why does he want to grow his arm back? Does he have a family? I don't know. I want to see like his human side. And when he turns to a lizard, his lizard side's telling him conquer the world. Why? Why does he need to conquer the world? I swear, if I remember right, this scene was about not even 5 minutes. He just said, I'm going to conquer the world by turning everyone into a lizard. I was like, where did that come from? He's like, I'm the dominant predator. I'm like, what? Where did this come from? It's so rushed and so confusing. His motivation is just spontaneous and crazy, and I have no idea where it's coming from. And it kind of and it really rendered his split personality development superfluous, because both sides of the personality aren't established. It doesn't work for me. And because of the film's, the focus on the mystery and the romance, like I said, it forces him to like just enact this cliched supervillain arc. Like he just randomly says, "I'm going to take over the world," for no reason, and it really, really annoyed me. This is a reboot. Like I thought they were going to go places with this. It it's more or less doing a realistic version of Spider-Man. You can make that work, sure. You made Batman realistic. You can do anything, anything's possible. But like, they didn't. Like, I was like, how are they going to make a giant lizard work? Like, really, in a realistic Spider-Man film, I have no idea. I was like, okay, if you're gonna make him like archetype, fine, but do archetype well. Don't like have parts of your film outweigh this one. That's not how film works. And the lizard just failed to me on every level. He has no personality. He becomes a villain and then instantly wants to take over the world with no development whatsoever. And his whole split personality, one of the key parts of the lizard's character, is not here. And he's just empty. He's dead weight. And that's my piece on the lizard.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay.
The lizard, in my eyes, was done very well in this film. Yes, we never established how he lost his arm. I didn't really think that was a big deal because, I mean, here's the thing. To me, you didn't have to establish a specific reason for him to want to grow his arm back. Because,
I can understand that it probably sucks, but I'd like a reason. Like a much more legitimate reason for him to want to risk his own life and his job and his company to, well, not his company, but like risk the company's, its financial issues. I just wanted a reason. So carry on.
Well, kind of the reason he tested it on himself was because about an hour into the film, the Dr. Ratha, the Indian American.
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah,
that guy. He comes in and says, "You're going to test this on humans right now, or I'm shutting you down." And so Connors refuses, and Ratha shuts him down. And ultimately, Connors has no choice but to test it on himself because he's not willing to risk testing it on anybody else. And so he tests it on himself, and at first he thinks it works, and then he turns him into the lizard, and the rest is history. And so that's kind of the reason that he tested it on himself. And really, his whole reason for wanting his arm back is really because, like you said, it just generally sucks that, a guy with one arm. I mean, there's this one scene where he goes up to a piece of glass, a glass wall, and he puts his arm up against it, and it reflects. It reflects the arm back, and it's like he has two arms. And he's smiling. And he's like, you can tell right from that scene alone, and it's right before he does it too. He just wants both of his arms back. He feels inferior because of it. He feels like he has to compensate for it, and he feels like he wants to be normal. He doesn't feel normal without that missing arm. So, really what I'm trying to say here is that he does have it's not directly established, but he has a pretty clear motivation for wanting his arm back.
Yeah, okay. And this is what I'm trying to say. Really, is the fact that I never really saw having one arm must suck. It really must suck. I mean, I've seen people with no arms, but like, I wanted to see a much more kind of emotional reason. Like, of course, like I'm saying, it sucks. But what I'm saying is, I wanted to see more of it. And I just why should I care? I wanted to see like a much more deeper version to this. And like his plan as the lizard really doesn't work. And like it was very kind of schizophrenic. It was very unfocused to me. I was like, okay, I need a reason for these two beings to exist in one. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. Like he was afraid of what he could be, what he could do. And when he's the lizard, he just has this 5-minute scene, I'm going to take over the world. Like, I want to see more of that. Like, what reason could he possibly want for wanting to destroy everyone?
Well, he actually does say in the movie, this is no longer about curing ills. This is about finding perfection. And what he says in a specific scene, after he and Spider-Man fight in the school, Spider-Man goes down and finds the lizard's sewer lair. And he finds a video, and it says, this is my gift to you people. This is, why be human when we can be so much more? Faster, stronger, smarter. This is my gift to you. So that's really his motivation for being, for wanting to turn everyone into lizards, is because he thinks what he's doing is correct. He thinks he's being compassionate.
And this is actually nothing to do with anything, but like, when Peter discovers his lair, like, did he turn that video on? I remember him like seeing that video and it's just on automatically.
No,
Did he turn it on, or did I miss that?
He did turn it on.
Oh, okay. And this actually reminds me a lot of the plot of Batman Begins, like, you know, these fascist dictators who want to basically destroy humanity and then basically make them better. I know that's just a little side note, but it just reminded me a lot of Batman Begins. This whole film reminded me of Batman Begins, but you know.
I mean, that's kind of. I mean, I don't know if that's what they were going for with this in a more darker tone, but I mean, if you notice, there are a lot of Marvel movies these days that have a much different tone now from how movies used to be in the past. I mean, you've got Iron Man, you've got Captain America, you've got Amazing Spider-Man, you've got, you know, Thor. You've got all these movies with such different tones than how movies used to be done in the past. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I have. I think it was all with Batman, really. I mean, that's probably no surprise to anyone. I think Batman kind of changed a lot. Like, I mean, Batman Begins didn't actually make that much money. I think it was only like what, 350 million or something.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. And like, I think, and everyone just said, okay, you can do superheroes very well, like, and do them sort of grounded in reality. And that's what everyone liked about it. It was kind of dark and it looked really cool. It looked really awesome. It was awesome. And I think everyone and I think Dark Knight was kind of the slap to the face saying, you can do this amazingly well. I mean, Batman Begins was awesome, but Dark Knight was just fucking perfection, man. Like, you can do this amazingly well. I think I was like, okay, we've got to make every superhero we know like Batman.
Yeah, and that's kind of a problem. I mean, I feel like not every superhero is Batman. We don't.
Yeah, totally. That's what I was saying.
We don't need to make him like Batman. I prefer a superhero that has his or her own niche.
Yeah.
And just for the record, for the audio listener out there, Batman Begins made $374 million at the box office.
That was right, yeah.
All right, so, yeah.
And Dark Knight, where it's like $1 billion. Like, I think people noticed the different, numbers there, like 300 million, 1 billion, you know what I mean? Like, people paid attention to that.
Yeah, Dark Knight grossed $1,004 million.
Yeah. Shit, that's a lot.
Yes.
I think Dark Knight Rises grossed more. Was it more?
Dark Knight Rises grossed... and sorry for the audio listeners, this is a Spider-Man podcast, don't worry.
Yeah, we're getting off track, sorry about that.
Dark Knight Rises grossed $1,084 million.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I think we disagree with each other again.
We disagree.
I acknowledge where you're coming from, I really do. Okay, I think we should talk about like the other major aspect, the story. Now, like we mentioned earlier, like the origin story, you didn't need that. You really didn't. You could have saved yourself a lot of time and really could have done a lot more things right. And I think that's probably the major disadvantage of Amazing Spider-Man is the story. Like, you do need to do the origin story again. This isn't Batman. You could have just had him be Spider-Man anyway. Like, it would have saved a lot of time, and they could have done a lot more.
It would have, and I agree with you that they should have done it like the Ultimate Spider-Man video game. I feel that would have been definitely the right way to go with it. But, I don't know. I mean, like, there are some... I mean, they said in an interview that there was a whole generation that wasn't born when Spider-Man 1 came out. And I feel like even then, you could have done the origin story and just, like... I mean, it didn't have to be as short as 5 seconds. You could spend like maybe 2-3 minutes on it, but that's really all you needed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, I think the first film, like, he became Spider-Man, like, maybe, I don't know, what is it, half an hour into it?
I remember he was bitten by the spider about 5-10 minutes in.
Yeah, and then like this film, like I think it must have been about 25 minutes or 30 minutes at the most. I was like, that's way too far in. Considering this film is like 2 hours, like he becomes like Spider-Man like a third into it, you've got problems.
Well, I remember he gets bitten by the spider at about 20 minutes in. I think I remember reading on the clock on my DVD player.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Yeah, I do that a lot.
yeah, me too. I've mentioned this before. Like, the story to me is Batman Begins and Twilight. It just so is, and I really don't like that. Like, you don't need to make him Batman. We've said that 5 times now, and the whole romance subplot it takes up way too much time. It really does. I mean, I hate to make this comparison. I really do, because Twilight's such dog shit, and Spider-Man like deserves way better than Twilight. Let's face it. But what I'm coming from is that he is kind of. I'm going to say this. He's a stalker in this. It's kind of weird to me. I'm like, he's taking pictures of her when she's not looking, and he keeps it on his computer. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that was really creepy. I remember seeing that, and I was like, that was creepy.
Yeah, that's fucking stupid. I remember that scene that actually made me chuckle. It's when Uncle Ben's there, and he says he's got you on his computer. I was like, yeah, you just got fucking owned, man.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, that's like one of the things I love about Spider-Man. Don't fuck with Uncle Ben, because he will own your ass, like in any possible manner. Like even from the dead, he owns him. Okay, so, I'm getting off track. So what I'm saying is like that's creepy. Yeah, and like he's got this really dumb hair. And he's kind of a stalker. He stalks her. She falls in love with him almost immediately, and he's this superhuman, dangerous dude who like sneaks into her room, and her policeman father disapproves of him. And before everyone like probably says in their head, oh, that was in the comics, you know, where she had her policeman father, and you know he was kind of I think her father disapproved of him a little bit, like didn't like him very much.
Not really. Not really. I've read the comics, and she actually liked Peter quite a bit.
No. I mean, her father like didn't like him very much. Like he didn't really shine to him. Was that true?
No, in the comics, Captain Stacy was actually one of Peter's biggest fans.
Oh, okay. That's probably what went. And anyway, the whole idea of like you know her policeman father and shit. That's probably what went off in the heads of the studio executives. Like, oh my god, this is like Twilight. We could totally do that. And yeah, they focused way too much on it. And then this is like one of my biggest complaints about the film. The whole parents' story. Why was this here? I mean, really. You really didn't need to know this. I mean, in the cartoon, I was intrigued by the whole Peter's parents gone missing. I was intrigued by that. I actually was. I actually wanted to know what happened. But like in the film, I just didn't think it worked. You didn't need it. It's to add a mystery. And lots of films do this now. I don't know if you've noticed, but they always add some kind of deep, complex mystery to make the film look more complicated than it already is. Because complication is cool now. And
it is 2013.
Yeah, true. And this is what annoyed me. It's like, you could have done this, but the thing is, they never finished it. They just forgot about it halfway through to carry on with the romance and the boring plot. Like, they just forgot about it completely. It's like, wait a minute, where did it go? And then, of course, at the end, you see Kurt Connor's like, does he know? No. And then he walks away. I was like, okay, they're clearly doing this for sequels. There is no fucking excuse for that. That is pathetic screenwriting at its best, people. I mean, here's where people say, oh, they did it in the Avengers, like with Iron Man. It's like, yeah, but here's the thing, though. Those closing credit scenes, like at the end of Iron Man 2, Hulk, Thor, and Captain America, etc., like they did those, but the thing about those films is they all finished their stories at the end. Like, honestly, go back and watch those films, like Iron Man 2, Captain America, Hulk, and Thor. They all closed their stories, but at the end, they had some sort of stinger saying, oh, this is what's going to happen next. I'm like, that's pretty cool. You know, it's really awesome. They make their films and they complete them, and then they give you a stinger saying this is what's going to happen next. And this is a comment Warren told me, actually. He says, I like to think of this as kind of like episodes of a TV series. Like, this isn't a TV series. This is a movie franchise. Like, you can't leave plots open and then do them in the sequels. Man of Steel did this. And I'm not going to elaborate on that, but this film leaves the parents subplot open, of course, to serve as the grand mystery of the series and probably bring in a lot more. And I guarantee that maybe Electro or the Rhino are going to fit into that story somehow. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But they left it open, and this is going to be bad for them. It's probably going to bite them in the ass in Spider-Man 4 or something. This is what's going to go wrong. They're going to build up this mystery, never answer questions, and then they're going to answer all of them in the last film, maybe. And then it's all going to fall apart. It's going to be complicated. They're shooting themselves in the foot. They're making it complicated for themselves, and this is what really pisses me off. They're bringing in more characters, more villains. It's like the Avengers, and this is one of the reasons I hate this film, and I'm gonna hate the rest of them. Maybe, I don't know. Of course, I'm gonna be optimistic, but I'm probably gonna hate them as much as this one. They're just, it defines cash grab, and it defines just how wrong this screenplay is. It's not solving its own problems. The sequels are, and that's not good. Like the sequels jump off the original, And this film, its sequel, is probably going to be have a lot of problems. It's jumping off the own film's problems. I mean, like Spider-Man 2 was really fucking good, mainly because it kind of had its own thing, but it sort of elaborated on the first one, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. It was its own thing, but it elaborated. That's what made that film fucking awesome. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is probably going to have the same kind of problems. It's going to be building off the first problems, which isn't good in any way. And they're bringing in Harry Osborn, I think, which I actually don't mind because apparently he's going to be connected to the whole mystery. But again, you're adding characters to a mystery that's unsolved. It's going to get more complicated, and you're going to bullshit your way through a screenplay. It's not going to work. I'm sorry, it's not. And of course, like, this has nothing to do with anything, but like I think Harry Osborn was played by Dane DeHaan, who was in Chronicle, and I fucking love that movie. And he's a fucking great actor, so I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that's my main issue with the story is the mystery is never solved, and it never solves its own problems. The sequels are going to do that.
Yeah,
and,
I
ahead.
agree. I mean, I agree with you that this movie should have had its own story, and that really, a lot of it really is we're setting it up for sequels. We are setting up a franchise here. We're not setting up an individual movie. That's one thing that I think they could change. I mean, there are stories here, like the whole Connors and cross-species genetics thing. Those are kind of finished, but I mean, they are setting up stories like the mystery of the parents, like Norman Osborn who's dying. Like
I wonder what's going to happen there.
Oh my gosh! I mean, God forbid they completely just steal what happens in Spectacular Spider-Man.
Isn't he like some sort of goblin monster or something? If it was fire or some shit, or is that something else? I think that's Ultimate Spider-Man. Actually.
That's Ultimate Spider-Man. What happens in Spectacular Spider-Man is, the cartoon. Basically, he creates this stuff called globulin green, and that's what turns him insane and turns him into the Green Goblin.
All right.
I can see the next movie story coming from a mile away. They're gonna because the cross-species genetics thing didn't work. They're gonna create globulin green to cure him of his fatal disease. He's cured, but a side effect is he's turned insane. He turns into the Goblin and kills Gwen. I can see that story coming from a mile away.
Yeah, we all can, and that is not a good thing. It really isn't. I just don't. I'm starting to trip over myself, but I really hate that about it. I can see this coming a mile away. Are they going to kill Gwen? Most likely they are, to raise the stakes, to make things super serious. And may I remind you of which superhero movie had the girlfriend die? Dark Knight. I mean, seriously, like Dark Knight killed off. I'm banking on a name right now. Rachel Dawes. That's it. They killed her, and like it set up development for Dark Knight Rises. It's. I can see, like you said, I can see it too. I can see the plots coming a mile away, and it's kind of sad. It's really sad to me. Like I like Electro's on screen, Rhino is on screen. I want that to be friggin' cool. Like I think they're going with the robot suit thing from most of the comics. Like I was like, that sounds pretty cool. And Electro, he's a blue guy who shoots lightning. I want to see that. I want to see it done well. I don't want to see it built on, really shitty screenplays and stories I can see coming miles away. I don't want that. It kind of takes something away from me, if you know what I mean. Like when I saw Spider-Man 2 for the first time, I was like, Dr. Octopus is fucking cool as hell, and he's done really well. Like he's integrated into the story really good. His robot arms are amazing. That train fight is astonishing.
That train fight is awesome.
It's one of my favorite action scenes in all of cinema. And I want this done well. I want to see Spider-Man fight Dr. Octopus in front of a train. I wanted to see that, and it was done well. I want to see him fight Electro. I want to see how that's going to go down. I want to see him fight Rhino. But the thing is, though, I'm not going to care. My main reason for not caring is because I can see it coming a mile away. And of course, the story's going to suck. And again, I'm not going to repeat myself again, but that's something I really didn't like. And getting more on the story of the film, of Amazing Spider-Man, I think it's very funny that everyone in this film knows each other. Like, for example, like Peter's dad just so happened to work with Kirk Connors, and Peter's son like knows who Gwen is, and Gwen knows who Kirk Connors is, and Kirk Connors knows like Oscorp. He works for Norman Osborn. I wonder what's going to happen there. It's like everyone knows each other, and it's kind of funny the fact that like Peter's powers come from the work of Kirk Connors and his dad Richard Parker, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And yeah, that's right. And like I think it's very stupid the fact that he gets his powers coincidentally because of this. It kind of takes away the whole aspect of the Spider-Man character. He's an accidental hero. Like he gets his powers by accident, not intentionally, by accident. And this is what's actually really, really good about the character. In fact, he gets his powers by accident, and he starts saying, you know what, I have the right to fuck around now. And he does something stupid, and his uncle gets killed, and he learns a valuable lesson. Like, this doesn't have any of that. I think that's actually kind of insulting to me, because it takes away his accidental hero aspect, and then with great power comes great responsibility doesn't exist here. It doesn't. And like before, like listeners are probably correcting me right now, saying, "Oh, but he kind of says it. He doesn't exactly say the line, but he kind of says it." You're correct, but he doesn't learn anything. He's still the same character as he was in the opening. He doesn't learn anything. What I love about the first Spider-Man is the fact that I see him upset. He goes crazy. He's going to hunt down this guy. He's going to go nuts, but he doesn't. He's a good character. He doesn't do that. He learns a great lesson, and I really love that about it. Here, he doesn't. He doesn't learn a damn thing. Yeah, he mopes maybe once, but like after that, I don't see anything at all. It's just nothing. And again, I don't want to ramble, but it just took away a vital part of this character of Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility is one of my favorite lines ever. It means so much. The gravity of that line is unbelievable, and now it's not here. In a Spider-Man film, it doesn't matter if it's an origin story. You have to include that line. It's the whole point of Spider-Man. You have to include it. You have no choice. But it's not here, and that is actually really, really insulting to me, and I really hate that. It really offends me.
I mean,
and yeah, carry on. Sorry, I'm rambling again.
I see where you're coming from, but really, I felt that what they were trying. I mean, here's the thing about this movie. They were trying to be different from the Raimi movies, and I feel like if they had said the line again, it would have been too similar. And I feel like that's what they're trying. I feel like that's what they were trying to do. With
if they were going to do Spider-Man again but different, fine. That's totally fine. I don't mind. Like if they want to do it in a new kind of way, but everything else just sucks. It really does. It just reeks of disinterest. Like they just had no respect for this material whatsoever, and just said, you know, we're going to throw this together. Great power, great responsibility. We've seen that before, and we're not going to do it again. It's just I hate that. It really just offends me.
But I want to bring up something that you said. You said that Peter Parker doesn't really learn anything about responsibility. He actually does kind of learn a few things about responsibility from Uncle Ben, because I mean, if you watch the movie, you'll see a scene of Peter Parker and Gwen on the bleachers of the high school, and what happens there is that, you know, Gwen tells him, because her father has just put out, you know, a warrant for his arrest, and so Gwen tells him, you have to lay low, you can't fight the lizard, and he says, no, I have to fight the lizard. And then in another scene he says, I have to fight him because I created him, he's my responsibility. You know, I'm responsible for all of this. With all that stuff. So I felt like he kind of did learn a lesson in responsibility.
No, yeah, I know what you're saying. And this is the thing that kind of irritates me, is that the fact that it's there. It's kind of there. That's what I know what you're saying. It's kind of there. Technically, it's there, but it's not really backed up by much. Like it's kind of like, how do I put this? It's like a table with really, really small legs. It's gonna break. It's gonna fall. I mean, it's balancing, sure, but it's gonna break. It's supported by not much. I don't really see him involved very much. Yeah, he says he says that he's gonna take responsibility for it, but I just didn't see a grand, you know, kind of a grand interpretation of him learning responsibility. It's there technically, and I understand that, but like I want to see like something much better. Like honestly, I'm probably not making very much sense, but that's how I see it. anyway.
See, I mean, the way I kind of took his interpreting responsibility is, I mean, he goes after the lizard in the sewer. He sets a trap. He waits for the lizard. He openly goes and tries to fight him. And this is something I noticed about the Raimi movies, is Spider-Man was very reactive in those films. He wasn't very proactive. I felt like Spider-Man in this movie was being proactive. He goes to Connors to try to get information about the lizard, and that's where he learns that Connors is the lizard. After that, he goes to Captain Stacy and tries to explain to Captain Stacy that Kirk Connors is the lizard. And then after that, when Captain Stacy won't listen to him, he takes matters into his own hands and really tries to, get some of this shit done and get the lizard caught. That's how I feel like Spider-Man in this movie, he has a sense of responsibility, and he's willing to take action on it.
No, I see where you're coming from. I really do. Of course, I have my own view, and you have yours. And getting something else I have on my list. On the climax, I didn't really care for it because it was so generic given the plot. Like, he's going to turn everyone into a lizard, and they have like a battle on a skyscraper. I was like, you could have done more than that. And also, I'm probably not the only person to point this out, but that whole thing of those guys turning the cranes so he can swing to the building, that's so stupid. Like,
I will say, it's such a coincidence that there are that many cranes on one street at one time.
Yeah.
And all the workers are conveniently available to work them.
Late hours, I think. And the person, and it's the guy he saved on the bridge. Like, oh, that's a big fucking coincidence. I had no idea this guy was a builder at all, and he just so happens to be a construction worker and has lots of cranes that just so happen to lead to Oscorp. Oh my god. Spider-Man can fucking swing from buildings, and I'm supposed to buy that? Really?
Yeah. That was that could have been better.
Yeah, much better, man. So that was stupid. Maybe Iron Man could have flown there. I don't know, but that would have been better actually. But
Iron Man just flies in. Hey, Spider-Man, you want to ride? Sure.
Where the fuck have you been? Yeah, like maybe a portal opens with Oscorp. I don't know. So yeah, the climax kind of sucks. And this is something I actually probably should have brought up earlier, but this whole film looks really cheap. Like, it's kind of hard to describe, but like nearly most of the action takes place at night, and like it kind of has that grim and gritty feel, like with the story and the characters and stuff. And I was like, it looks really cheap. Like the Spider-Man costume looks really stupid. I hate the costume. It really looks stupid.
The Spider-Man costume is meant to look half-assed because they're trying to establish that this kid could make it with stuff he found in his basement.
Oh yeah, I get that. I was like, but this is the thing I don't understand. He can build these advanced web shooter things, but he can't build a costume very well.
Well, and he doesn't have a lot of money, so.
Well, I get that. But like the Spider-Man, excuse me, in the Raimi's, like it's like a one-piece suit or something, I think. And like in this movie, it's like he uses different. He improvises, and I think that was okay. Like I can understand why it looks cheap, but they could have made it look better. And also, like I think it's mainly because my main complaint is the fact it's got like all these textures on it. It looks like kind of like slimy looking, and it's got like you can barely make out the Spidey symbol. That kind of annoyed me. And actually, I'm going to point this out. In the second, like, did you see the still image they have of Amazing Spider-Man 2 of what this costume looks like?
Yeah,
I actually like it.
I love it.
It looks good. It actually looks pretty good. I was like, that's what the costume should have looked like in the first place. God damn it! I would have raged a lot less. That would have been great. Like, I was like, because like in the first film, like when he makes the suit, I buy that. He's designing it and stuff. That looks really cool, and he can sew it. I'm like, but this guy is like a nerd, like a shut-in. I can imagine him sewing this suit together. But in this film, I just couldn't. Maybe it's just a suspension of disbelief, but whatever. And the web shooters. This is something I have been complaining about for a while. Is the fact that I never understood the idea of the web shooters to begin with, and I remember I think Mark Webb said in an interview it's to show that he's intelligent, like he can make this shit. I'm like, if he can make web shooters, why can't he sew a suit together? That's probably a nitpick, but whatever. And the web shooters have like they shoot smoke, like whenever he fires a web, this is a nitpick, I know, but like it shoots us like a smoke or something. It's like a muzzle flare. It's really, really weird.
They're almost like guns, almost.
Yeah, I didn't get that. It was like really weird.
And they light up every time he shoots a web. I don't know if you noticed that, but every time he shoots a web, that little circle thing in the middle lights up.
Yeah, I caught that too, and I was like, at first I thought it was like a cable, like it retracts, and like when he shoots it, like he shoots it and it retracts. But no, it's just gooey shit. And I probably didn't remember. I probably can't remember this very well. But did he ever run out of webs in the film?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he did. Oh, okay. I was gonna say because like if he never ran out of webs, I was like, why do you need web shooters to begin with? But anyway, and I never actually understood the idea of him with the web shooters. I never understood that. Like I actually liked this in the Raimi films when he was bitten by the spider and he gained the abilities of a spider. He can weave webs on his own. I actually liked that. Like it was very sci-fi, very actually kind of believable in its own way. Like I was like he's got the powers of a spider, yet he can't shoot webs. I don't get that.
I mean,
that's a nitpick, I know.
I mean, Stan Lee said in an interview that he wanted mechanical web shooters because it's the best way to write a story. Because what would happen if he needed his web shooters and he ran out? And so,
yeah.
And so, I mean, I kind of understand where he was coming from. And
yeah, it kind of added like a vulnerability, really.
Yeah, I mean that could be Spider-Man's weakness almost.
Yeah, running out. I get that. But it kind of bothers me. But it's Stan Lee, you know. It was the '60s. Guy in a red blue leotard. You're not going to question it, really, are you?
You're not.
It's comic book stuff. Who cares?
There's real world science and there's comic book science.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this film. This is actually kind of a tonal issue with the Amazing Spider-Man. Is the fact it wants to be real, but at the same time it doesn't. Like at times I felt like this is a comic book film, but other times it felt like it's trying to be Batman again. And it has a very mixed jumble of tone, and this is something I liked about the Raimi Spider-Man. It balanced everything so well in terms of what it was. It took 60s comic books and made them seem real, like on the big screen. Like it was doing it well, and it was also kind of pleasing everybody. And I actually liked that about it. It actually, it balanced it very well.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that the real aspect of this movie, what really sold it for me was the amount of technology that was present. Because if you notice, there were a lot of use of like tablets and iPads and cell phones and all of
that. That's product placement, man. That's totally product placement. He uses Bing, for God's sake. Who uses Bing?
Yeah, seriously. I don't use Bing.
Nobody uses Bing. It's like the MySpace of search engines. Nobody uses it.
Like, seriously, I remember thinking that, and I was like, what the hell?
I know, right? It's crazy. I know. You know he has that police scanner in his room in the Raimi films. He has like police scanner that he took.
Yeah.
Like in this film, he has like a Sony Ericsson phone hooked up to some wires, and that's like a what is it? It's like it steals the signal of police scanners. It's like that's bullshit. That's stupid. That's just another product placement. I swear, like, there's a scene where he just holds it to the camera of the film. And the camera, it's like Sony Ericsson. I was like, you should be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's low, man. We're picking out random stuff to complain about right now, but I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. It might not make much sense to anybody, but it makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe some others. I don't know. The feedback will be the judge of that.
The feedback will be the main judge. The one thing we haven't talked about is Gwen Stacy, and I really want to talk about her.
Actually, this is something I'm going to shock you with. I actually didn't mind Gwen Stacy at all.
I loved Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, she was actually done pretty good. Like she was actually convenient to the plot, but in a way that was useful. And she was also like a good character on her own merits. Like she was actually I was like that's Gwen Stacy. Like in Spider-Man 3 is like. I was like, okay, that's somebody called Gwen Stacy. That's not Gwen Stacy from the comics. That's just somebody called Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, and the thing I loved about Gwen Stacy in this film, she was never portrayed as the damsel in distress.
No, she wasn't. She was like her own person. She was like one of those girls in comics that you just like you can root for as well. She's not just there to be in danger just for the hero to swing in and save her. You know, she's there for like good reason. And I think this is actually something they're building up. Like they've actually I think they put a lot of effort into Gwen Stacy. So like if they do kill her off, which I think they will, people will care a lot more.
They're offing her, dude.
They totally are. I think they're trying to like build. they're trying to build her up so we like her, and then just kill her. That's just evil,
Have you
man.
seen the Amazing Spider-Man 2 set pictures with her in the classic 121 outfit?
Oh shit! Really? Oh, I hadn't noticed that.
The classic outfit from ASM number 121.
Oh my god, I didn't notice that.
She's in it, and she's at a freaking bridge.
You blew my mind. I didn't know that. Oh my god. No way, man.
They're offing her, dude. They're offing her.
Oh, that's a bit early, isn't it? Like I thought they were gonna do it in like maybe 3 or 4. That's just tedious. Who's gonna kill her? The Green Goblin doesn't exist, or maybe he will. I don't know. They're bringing Harry Osborn, so there's a chance.
They're bringing Harry Osborn. A lot of people think Electro's going to be the one to do it, though.
Oh, that'd be kind of bullshit. I kind of want to see the Green Goblin do it.
A lot of people are saying that. I haven't heard a single person who says that they're in support of Electro killing Gwen. I am one of the people who thinks that the Green Goblin needs to do it.
Yeah, he needs to do it. Like in terms of just sticking to the comics, man, you need to do it. He needs to. I mean, like, I think Nolan's Batman films didn't really follow the comics very much. But then they had Bane come in, and then he broke Batman's back, which is like one of the things I hate about Dark Knight Rises. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah,
yeah. I think. I hope they don't kill her in the second one, man. If they do, that's going to be kind of a kick to the balls.
They're offing her, dude.
They shouldn't. It's a bit soon, really. If they're going to do it, then fine, I guess. But the fact is, I think that takes most of it away. Is the fact that I know it's coming. I mean, we all know it's coming.
We all know it's coming.
Yeah, the thing is though that they planned this franchise in the beginning. They're going to do it. They're building their own Avengers style franchise. They're going to do it. It's like that kind of hurts me. I actually kind of like, just like one of the only things about the Amazing Spider-Man I actually didn't hate. Like one of the only things.
All right.
And I think the other thing was I never mentioned this, but the actors do a good job. Like they're not bad in this. Like Andrew Garfield does well with what he's got.
Andrew Garfield's a great actor.
He's a good actor, yeah. I really like him. He's good. He's got potential. And I thought, I was like, when I saw he was going to be Spider-Man, I was like, that's a good decision. Like he looks, I can imagine him being Peter Parker. Like, I don't like the way he's written, but I like the way they picked him. He was good. And I thought this was going to run his career into the wall, like literally, like swing into a wall. But don't think so.
I'll admit my foot is still somewhere in the back of my throat about him because he's a great Spider-Man.
I don't like the way he's written, but I think he did a good job. He did a good job of what he was given. What he was given wasn't very good, but he did well. That's what I'll say. And maybe he'll be better in the next one. I don't know, because like you said, he's not really, like you said about the whole, like, as the film goes along, he's not stuttering as much. So maybe those like mannerisms will be gone next time, which will probably be a lot better actually. I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to go into the second film optimistic. I really am. I always do. No matter what the film is. Even like fucking Transformers 3. The second one was total dog shit. The first one was total dog shit. But like, I still went in with an open mind. I always do.
Yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I know you disagree with me. I love this movie. And it's like, even with the negatives I pointed out here, I still love the movie. You can read my review on the site. I love this movie, and I'm looking forward, like a fan, to the next one.
That's why we're here, really, isn't it? To like discuss things, and the feedback will be the judge of that. I think most people will agree with you. Maybe I'm like one of the people that doesn't like it, but maybe there'll be some. I'll have some supporters. Maybe, I don't know. It's a lot like Man of Steel. Like everyone loved Man of Steel, but I hated it. And like Dark Knight Rises, I really hate Dark Knight Rises as well. I mentioned those films a lot lately. I apologize. This is a Spider-Man podcast.
That's okay. We encourage diversity.
Yeah. Just for fun. What other villains would you like to see in the sequels? Let's just have some fun.
I'd love to see Mysterio.
I was thinking that too, actually. I don't know if you remember. You probably do. But did you remember him in the Spider-Man 2 video game?
Yes, I do.
He was actually pretty badass. I actually liked the way he looked. He was pretty cool. Like, I like the robots and everything. He turned the Statue of Liberty into a giant statue of him. That was pretty funny. I actually like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it actually worked kind of well because like he was a special effects expert, and it was kind of like this B-movie sci-fi thing. I remember like he has like a lift to his lair in his apartment. That was really funny. I actually liked that.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I actually really liked, and like, oh my god, I totally remembered this just now. But like, you fight him in that shop, that corner store, don't you? You just punch him once and he goes down. I remember that so much. That was so funny. I was like, oh crap, he's got like 4 health bars. Punch him once, he goes down.
I remember that.
I was like, you made me miss my exam, you fucker.
Nice.
I remember. You're on your way to see Kirk Connors, and he's like, help, somebody's robbing the Speedy Mart. And you just run down and you punch him once and he goes down. That was so funny. Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Yes.
So, final thoughts on The Amazing Spider-Man before we wrap this up.
Oh yeah, we're going for an hour and a half. Jesus. I really didn't like it for a lot of reasons. Mainly because if they gave it time, they could have probably done it well. Like they didn't need to do this as soon as Spider-Man 4 was cancelled. Like I'm not saying like we shouldn't give gritty reboots a try. We should. It could bring in a lot of fans and make some great films. But I just think this one was way too rushed. And it kind of bored me a lot. And yeah, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but that's the thing. Like it was too rushed. Like I don't mind them doing Spider-Man in a different kind of visual style or filmmaking style. Just do it well. Don't make this immediately. You don't have to do it. Like, you didn't have to make this origin story again. You don't have to bore us with some mystery. You don't have to make constant sequels to build your franchise. It doesn't work like that. Do it because you want to, not because you have to, or you feel you have to, in fact. People, Spider-Man has a lot of fans. He does. I mean, don't waste our time. I know a lot of people like The Amazing Spider-Man, and that's fine. But I just wish they could have just waited at least maybe 5 or maybe 8 years. I mean, what was it? I think Batman Begins was made 8 years after Batman and Robin, I think.
I don't know.
It was about 8 years, I think, and that movie was fucking awesome. Batman Begins, not Batman and Robin. Fuck Batman and Robin. And I know people weren't. I know people might like this film a lot because they came out of it. They came out of Spider-Man 3 kind of. That was a whole pile of nothing. And yeah, we'll actually have to talk about that one day, Spider-Man 3, because I think that's something that people want people to talk about. Because I have quite a few to say on Spider-Man 3. I actually am one of the few people that stand up for it.
I stand for it too, so.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Venom subplot, I really could have gone on for a while about that. Because I can actually stick up for that, of why that was quite short. In fact, I think it was, lucky that we got him at all, considering the fact that it's a sequel. And the fact it has a lot to establish as well. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. So yeah, that's my final thoughts, really. Too soon, kind of a cash grab, really, and they kind of just did it on the fly, and that was kind of disappointing because I'm a huge fan of Spider-Man and films, and that just kind of annoys me.
All right, so I guess that's going to wrap it up for this first episode. So thank you, Ed, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. No problem.
And I guess we will see you guys on the next episode. So hopefully Ed will be able to join us for that one too.
Yeah, I will. Just give me the word, and I'll have another list of things to complain about.
All right. So with that, I guess we're going to sign off. So with that, we say adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.
Yep, and take care.
And yeah, pretty much take care. See ya.